Today, I'm showing you how Claude and I work together to get voice agents ready for production fast using the Retell MCP. And now it's going to use the Retell MCP. This is actually the first time that I do this specifically when I'm using MCP to modify the agent itself. Retrieving agent ID, okay, and now it's gonna go to work, y'all. Oh my god, this is so cool. Most people think that AI-assisted prompt engineering is giving the AI your prompt and what it should do, and then it does the fixes and you're done. You tested it once, it worked, okay, you move on. But that's not how it works. And doing it that way will leave you with more problems than you started with. In the method I'm about to show you, Claude handles the analysis, it handles the writing. And I, the human, bring the judgment, the context, the understanding of what the client actually needs. And that collaboration, that's where great agents come from. Here's what we're covering today. First, I'm going to show you how to get the agent prompt into Claude using the Retell MCP without you having to copy paste anything back and forth. Second, we'll get Claude to retrieve the call history of that agent and analyze those calls. So identifying patterns, spotting weaknesses based on what actually happened during calls. Third, I'm going to ask Claude for suggestions, but the important part is I'm going to show you how I evaluate those suggestions and decide what's actually relevant, what actually matters based on what I understand of the client and the use case. And then we refine the prompt strategically together. Claude does the writing, but I do the judgment. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why that human-AI collaboration is the secret to great agents. But I have to warn you, this is going to make you much faster. This is not going to make you more skilled. For building skills, you really have to understand each word in the prompt. That means walking through this prompt word by word, understanding what this prompt does. Because there's always a gap in between what you want it to do and what it actually does. And I show you exactly how to train that muscle in the prompting masterclass that I just released. So I'll leave it linked above and below so you can go check that out if you haven't already. This prompt is a result of that masterclass, which was a collaboration with Claude. However, we haven't done many calls, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to put this prompt to the test. My name is Alejo, co-founder of Amplify Voice. I've been an AI engineer and data scientist for the last 8 years. And what I'm about to show you is the reason that clients come to hire us, which is not only the expert network of AI engineers that we've created, but our methodology, our iterative process, our analysis and strategic refinement, all anchored in understanding the client and the client's business and how this agent is going to be implemented and benefit the business. So if you want to dig deeper, you can find the links below to book a call with me and the team. Now let me show you how I build great agents. And the first thing we're going to do is get Claude to retrieve this prompt from our Retell account. I have the Retell MCP server set up, which I just released a video showing you step by step how to set up this MCP server for yourself. It's very quick to set up and I'll leave that video linked. In this case, we have 2 MCP servers for Retell. We're going to pull from the tutorials workspace. Retrieve the prompt for the prompting masterclass agent in my Retell tutorials workspace. The beauty about MCPs is that Claude can quickly figure out how to use them. But speech to text still thinks that I'm saying retail instead of Retell. So forget that. Okay, it's listing all the agents to find the right one. Okay, now it's gonna retrieve the, what's it called, the LLM configuration, which is where the actual prompt lives. We can also go the easier route, which is copying the Retell LLM directly and asking it from here, but I want to show you how Claude is thinking about this. This does make it so we hit the context window limit faster because it's retrieving so many things. I'm going to show you how to deal with that as well. Okay, it found the prompt. Awesome. Now we wanted to understand what's in the prompt. So please analyze the prompt and summarize in bullet points the nuances of this prompt. We never want to just say, here's the prompt, here's a call, fix it. We first need to check understanding. So we have nuances of the prompting masterclass agent, adaptive empathy, warmth with professionalism, humor handling. Okay, this all looks fine. I want to actually understand the conversation flow. I actually want to understand if it understands the nuances of the transfers. So let me tell you a little bit about this use case. This is an agent for a family law firm that has different specializations like divorce, child custody, adoption, etc. And it has 3 different lawyers that can be transferred to based on whether the user is a current client or a new client. If it's a new client, we're gonna ask some qualifying questions. And if it's an existing client, we're gonna just transfer them to the right lawyer. So you'll notice that doing it this way is very, very quickly going to eat up all our tokens, and well, we're gonna have to finish there and start a whole new conversation. So the way I prefer to do it is we're gonna start a new conversation. We're gonna get the Retell LLM ID that we're interested in, retrieve the prompt for LLM ID this for the prompting masterclass agent in my Retell tutorials workspace. I'm gonna run that. Okay. And now as it's retrieving it, I'm gonna start telling it about the use case. So instead of letting it figure out that like what the nuances are, I wanna give it a few hints. Namely, the business objective. What is the objective of the client? Why did they hire us to build this? This is an agent for a family law firm that wants to handle its inbound calls to not overwhelm the lawyers. There's 2 types of people that can call in: new clients who need to be asked a series of qualifying questions before transferring to the receptionist, and only qualified new clients can be transferred to the receptionist, or existing clients to whom we're gonna ask their lawyer or type of case and then transfer them to the appropriate lawyer. I'm gonna clarify business check. Okay, cool. And where you should always start is right here. Please analyze any contradictions, misconceptions, or redundancies in this prompt and point them out in a bullet point format. We don't need to fix anything yet. We just want to analyze. In fact, now is where I'm gonna add a project. Okay, in the plus, I'm gonna use a project, the prompting best practices. This is what I show in the prompting masterclass. And now that we are in that project, we can send this. And this project, the master prompt behind this project, which I show you in that masterclass, has an understanding of what really analyzing means. And what do these redundancies, contradictions look like? So while Claude is going to work, I want to do something with you, which is test the agent. This agent has several functions: end call, transfer to receptionist, transfer to lawyer. So let's test it out.
Thank you for calling Amplify Family Law. This call is being recorded. How can I help you today?
Hey, I needed help with a situation that I'm in.
Of course, I'm here to help.
Just so you know, I'm an AI assistant for Amplify Family Law. Can you tell me if you're a current client with us, or
Is this your first time reaching out?
No, it's my first time. I was hoping to get in touch with a lawyer.
Got it. Thanks for letting me know. So what type of family law
Matter are you calling about today?
Yeah, so I want a divorce from my wife.
Thank you for sharing that. Just to make sure we can help you, is this related to an injury, car accident, or any kind of personal injury claim?
It is not.
Perfect, thank you. What's the urgency of your situation?
Yeah, so we just aren't well, so I need to figure out what to do with the kids and all that stuff. So I just really need some help with that.
I understand. Thank you for explaining. What jurisdiction or location is this matter in?
For example, which county or city?
In Portland, Oregon.
Thank you. And are there children involved in this matter?
Yes, yeah, we have a kid.
Got it. Thank you for letting me know. I'll transfer you to our receptionist now, who can help you schedule a consultation with one of our attorneys. Please hold for just a moment.
Okay, so during this call, I noticed a few things that maybe could have gone better. Number 1, I did tell it that we have kids, and then it asked the question again, right? So it was following the script, but it should have caught that I had already shared. So I'm just gonna write that here. Issue number 1 is that it asked the question about kids, even though I had already told it. Something it did well was it asked me about whether it was a personal injury claim, which if it's the case, then we can't take the case. That's not what this family law practice specializes in. So that is the what happened. I'm not gonna send this yet. I've yet to get the call history. So I want to show you, how we usually do it, show you an example of how the flow goes. Let's keep going with the Retell MCP side. Okay, so for the prompt analysis, critical contradictions, non-family law matter handling, process breakdown. If non-family law matter, inform caller somebody will reach back out at their number and then in the call. But in example 4, I'll make sure someone from our partner office reaches out to you. The issue is no tool or function exists to log this information or notify anyone. That is true. That is something that we would be handling in the end of call report. So thank you, Claude. Thank you for noticing that contradiction. I'll make sure that I handle it in my end. If you go straight into fixing things, you're going to start inserting issues into the prompt, into your agent. Like now it's going to hallucinate a function for sending a referral to a different law firm. So we don't want those things. We just want to bring awareness so the human can do the judgment. Number 2, current client lawyer identification logic conflict. Okay, so if current client confirm name and lawyer, but stage 5 is determine appropriate lawyer based on matter type with routing rules. So the issue, so you're working with David Chen on your custody matter, is that correct? Agent infers lawyer from case type. Are current clients supposed to tell us their lawyer, or do we determine it? Example 2 shows agent inferring rather than asking. For this use case, this law firm told us that it could happen either way. People are calling in and saying, hey, I want to talk with David Chen, or some people are, maybe a little more private. I'm just talking about, calling about my divorce case. I don't know if that's more private, but it goes in both flows. So understanding the client and, very importantly, how users interact with the system is really important to understand. Wait, this is not actually a contradiction or an issue. It could go both ways. So I'm going to specify for step 2, it could go both ways. The agent should be flexible to either one. Now we have qualified new clients. The business objective is only qualified new clients can be transferred to the reception. Stage 4 only explicitly disqualifies non-family law matter. This is actually a great nuance that is often missed with clients, which is like, what does qualification mean exactly? These are great questions that we would go back to the client, and it's like, we just want to make sure that we give you the most qualified leads and remove all the non-qualified leads. So what about jurisdiction limits, case type restrictions, urgency thresholds? Like, I need help today. That might not work for them. So if I don't have enough information, thank you, Claude, for pointing this out, my judgment is I should go back to the client and ask for clarification. Okay, so there's other issues. I would definitely go one by one through these. I really want to get to the MCP part where I ask it to retrieve the call history for this agent. Okay, so it's listing the agents. Okay, so let me find which agent is using this LLM, then pull the records. See how much it retrieves? It retrieves all the agents in the workspace. So instead, we want to help it out and give it the agent ID. Pause that, send, edit, and then for this agent, down. So remember, we gave it the Retell LLM ID, which is where the prompt lives, but now we want the agent ID to retrieve the call history. List calls with this agent ID. Okay, lovely. And it'll probably tell me how many calls it retrieved. There should only be 1 or 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, new clients, divorce case, user hang up. So it'll probably say that it was unsuccessful because the transfer to reception attempted but failed. because we're in a web call. So yes, it was a good catch. Transfers don't work in a web call. Yep. Awesome.
Transcript highlights.
Okay, so yes, the transfers were failing. They actually weren't set up. They were like fake names. And I did 2 calls during the prompting masterclass. I want to really focus on this last call. Let's focus on the most recent call. The transfer failed because I was doing a web call test, which means that transfers never work. What I really want us to focus on is any portion in which this prompt could be more effective. This is what I noticed during the call. It asked a question about kids, even though I had already told it. Something it did well was it asked me whether it was a personal injury claim. Yeah, that's not what I specialized in. We are going to handle the sending leads to referral partners, like injury law firms, after the call ends, so the agent doesn't need any awareness of that, beyond telling the user what it's supposed to tell it. We're gonna send that in, and now we're gonna let's focus on the most recent call. Okay, let's. Okay, let's do a focus analysis of call 1. Okay, lovely. So, agent asked about kids after user already mentioned. What happened is the user volunteered it. Thank you for explaining. Agent then asked. Yeah, okay. So, prompt has conflicting instructions. Ask one at a time. Okay. Right, so it is right. So it is literally being told to ask these one at a time. Great catch. But then also the information tracking, which I believe is in here. Information tracking. Track information already provided. Never ask for same data twice. Okay. So it treats these as rigid sequence. While information tracking expects flexibility. It's a very good. Yep. Very good catch. Okay, so it's just doing the analysis. We'll get into some suggestions in a second. What worked well? The disqualification question is personal injury, so that's good. Fix 1. Rewrite strategy to be intelligence-based, not script-based. Love that. And the current what's problematic is that this is, asking one at a time. So recommended, new clients only, gather the following information by asking one question at a time. If the caller volunteers any of this information during the responses, acknowledge it and skip that question. This is the information to gather as opposed to perfect, exact questions to ask. So that is an important nuance for LLMs. We don't really ever want to use any of these critical, which is something I'm going to add to my master prompt, because it makes the agent start to focus on the wrong things and it's confusing long term. Remember that this is just one call, right? After 10 test calls, how much are we going to learn about what we should change about the agent? After 10 production calls, how much are we going to learn? So if every single time it adds a critical, do this instead of that, then it's going to be a mess at the end of it. And I see that issue that people just copy paste this into the prompt all the time. So let's not use words like critical, always, or never. Okay. And for fix 2, add explicit reminder in important reminders section. Information volunteered, you skip that question. Add to import reminders. Okay, yeah, that would certainly be something to include in the important reminders. Yeah, absolutely. And then clarifying non-family law matter handling, referral partners. I understand while that's not something we handle here at Amplify Family Law, I'll make sure someone from our partner office reaches out to you to discuss your options. That's perfect. Okay. And then the issue, it's got a false impression that the agent is actively coordinating a referral. Okay, well, that's the current. Okay, what is it suggesting? Is stage 4 and example 4? If non-family, I understand. Well, that's not something we handle here. Someone will reach back out to you at the number you're calling from to discuss your options. Okay, see, that is where we go back to the client and it's like, hey, is this like a more better phrasing than this? Because they might not qualify for referral partner. Maybe we just don't have enough information. So this is this is actually an exact example that we went with of our injury law clients, where it's like the phrasing actually suggests something that is not true, that they are going to get in touch with a partner office. And sometimes that's not true. So this more general, like someone will be back in touch with you. And if it's a family law new client, transfer to receptionist using transfer to receptionist. Lovely, lovely. Summary of changes needed. Okay. Children at question asked twice. Information to gather with intelligence-based skipping. Lovely. Information tracking not applied. Referral partner language. Implies agent coordination and simplify. Yep. Yeah. Someone will reach back out to you. Okay. Now, would you like me to draft complete stage 3 section? Rewrite the full input reminders? No. Let's not use word critical. By the way. Okay. Now let's rewrite the prompt, keeping in mind that our objective is not to add more sections, but modify the existing sections to be fully coherent with the new suggested changes. This is very important. Do you need any clarification before executing on the changes? Okay, so this is actually a good question. Should I update example 1 to demonstrate the agent properly skipping the children question when the user volunteers that information? Or keep examples as is since they're working fine? That's a very, very good question. So we don't want to bloat the prompt. We're already at 2,500 tokens. That is kind of my personal limit, what I strongly suggest you stay under. I usually suggest 2,000. So you don't really want to do this. So don't modify the examples. Just make sure the agent understands that the examples should be flexible, but still follow the flow of the conversation. The information tracking section apparently says track information already provided, never asked for same data twice. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Reword this to remove and make it more actionable. Yeah, for sure.
So the information was already there, the agent just wasn't doing it well. So that makes me think, now I'm rethinking this one. Now I'm rethinking that one, Should we add a new example? Just make sure the agent understands that the example should be flexible, but still follow the conversational flow. This is the iterative process where I'm collaborating. This is the, oh my God, wait, but what if? And this is the magic. This is what I want you guys to see and understand my thought process. So don't modify the examples, just make sure the agent understands that the example should be flexible, but still follow the flow of the conversation. But the information tracking already says this. Okay, I'm happy with this because we're digging more into the flexibility of the agent. Reword this to remove never and make it more actionable, making the engine understand that the script is not a script, but just some examples of a flow of the conversation. Next, are you comfortable with modifying version tracking? Example 1. Yes, but don't modify example 1. Tone. The information get together to format. Still could suggested question phrasing. No, we can have the question phrasing in the example conversations. That's what those are for. And I love that it asked that question because in the prompting masterclass, we actually go over that. What does each section represent? And the stages don't necessarily need to represent exact perfect questions that should be asked. That's what the example interactions are for. This should include the, what to do and if else. If this, then this stage. If that, then that stage. And the example interactions should actually show the how to say it. So now it's writing that prompt. This is not gonna make a difference right now. I really want to dig into make sure that it didn't modify anything it shouldn't have. One transfer protocol when using one transfer if the lawyer does not answer. Callback number. Reassure. Okay, that's all the same. Communication style. Okay. Don't bundle multiple requests. Say what's your name and phone number. Lovely. Technical precision. Information tracking. Pay attention to information the caller has already shared. If they mention children, location, or urgency while answering a different question, acknowledge that information and skip asking about it later. Lovely. Critical details, just to confirm you're calling about this and that. Awesome. When you have the information you need, move forward rather than re-asking for details already provided. Awesome. If caller volunteers information out of order, acknowledge it, continue gathering any remaining unknown details. That sounds great. Call management for ending calls, lovely. Legal boundaries, awesome. Now stages, greet caller, this looks the same. This looks the same. Okay, cool. Qualifying questions for new clients only. Gather the following information to determine, ask one question at a time, adapt based on what the caller has already shared. The volunteered information. This feels like a repeat instruction. If the volunteers any information while answering a different question, acknowledge it and move on to gathering any remaining details. If this becomes a real issue across multiple calls, like you've seen this happen across multiple calls, then you should go ahead and be like, okay, well, I need to re-emphasize, over-index on this instruction. Right now, we're going to leave this as is, because that's kind of the one issue we're trying to really dig into. And it sets the information to collect other than the perfect questions to ask, so it becomes more flexible. The goal is to gather these details, not follow a rigid script. Okay, awesome. That's great. Routing decision. If non-family law, it's going to use that phrasing. Lovely. Warm transfer. Current clients. Okay. So what I'm going to do... wait, I need to finish reading this. That is the same. That's the same. If lawyer doesn't answer, that's the same. Okay, lovely. Call closing, example interactions, divorce, Okay, and it's gonna implement the new phrasing. First time calling, Los Angeles County. Yes, we have 2 kids. Awesome. Okay, and then the other examples should be the exact same. Then it added important reminders, or it just added one, right? Yes, the example interactions show conversation flow patterns, but adapt your questions based on what the caller tells you. Lovely. Okay, so this is where the magic happens. I am going to publish this agent, right? So I can keep a record, and I'm going to put a name on this version. Pre-Claude MCP. Publish that. And now, this is the fun part. Modify the agent with this new called. Send this. And now it's going to use the Retell MCP. This is actually the first time that I do this specifically, where I'm using MCP to modify the agent itself. Retrieving agent ID. Okay, and now it's gonna go to work, y'all. Oh my god, this is so cool. And the reason it's writing it so fast is because Anthropic has now implemented caching for the desktop. So this is really, really cool. It goes so fast. We're gonna go always allow. Gonna update the Retell LLM. Okay, the LLM has been successfully updated, and we'll identify it by this last part. Fresh. Okay, we're gonna go to the bottom, and we're gonna see that this actually looks different now. Okay, I'm gonna paste it in so you can see it. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. It removed the never. It uses don't now. So this is great. This is awesome. We're gonna save that. Although I guess it was already saved. And now we're gonna publish this again. It didn't add that many tokens because my master prompt kind of like tells it, it only added like about 200 tokens for the fixes. That's my master prompt touches on that. It's like, you don't need to add new things. It's usually just modifying what already exists. If you're curious about it, go check out that prompting masterclass. So post Claude MCP fixing double questions. You wanna have this be very explicit for proper version control. And now we're gonna have that exact same conversation. How are we gonna do that? We're gonna go back to call history, pick up that last call that we did, and we're gonna click on view in playground. So I can now run that same agent, and I've done videos on this, to see if it asks this question again, right? Because we already told it that we have kids and other children involved in this matter. So we're gonna go Portland, Oregon. We're gonna modify that to see what it asks afterwards. And we're also gonna do the debug 10 responses. And just to confirm, you mentioned kids are involved in this matter, right? So it's checking understanding. I'm okay with that. I'm okay that it's checking understanding as opposed to re-asking the question like as if I had never been told. We generate 10 answers, so we can see if at any point it slips and it tries to kind of ask the question from the beginning. Okay, thanks. And just to confirm, you mentioned, yep, and you mentioned. Lovely. Okay, so it's confirming understanding, which I'm totally okay with. And that is how I have a human and AI collaboration with Claude in order to create great prompts. The iterative process is much faster, but the pre-requirement for all of this is that I actually went through this prompt word by word last week when I recorded that prompting masterclass. If you don't do that, then you're not gonna have your sharp judgment that the human adds to this relationship. That's what we bring. We're not writing faster. We can't analyze calls faster, but we can have better judgment of what works and what doesn't work in the real world and for this specific client for this use case. So let's recap what we just did. We used Claude with the Retell MCP attached right here. And asked it to retrieve a specific agent. We passed on the LLM ID, so we save tokens in the context window, and it directly retrieves the exact prompt that we want to work with. Claude analyzed the prompt. I gave it, obviously, a more clear understanding of the business objective. That's critical, so we steer everything in the right direction. We're then asking it to analyze contradictions. This was supposed to be misconceptions or redundancies. It pulled a bunch of situations that I went over. I wanted to focus on the iterative process of the call history, right? This is what's important right now that I want you to really master. So we're retrieving the call history for that agent. It retrieved 3 calls, that's as many as we've done, and I asked it to focus on call 1. This is what I noticed during call. This happened and that happened and that happened. I'm using my human judgment in order to guide Claude. Then it does a deep dive and it starts suggesting some changes. It first reasons through those changes and then it does a summary of those changes. And then I was like, okay, those 3 seem very reasonable to implement. Then I asked it to ask me any clarifying questions. I answered those questions. That's always a key step where most people go wrong. It's like, yeah, that looks good, now do it. It's like, no, ask me anything that needs clarification. And then it created the final prompt. I went over it. I made sure, I checked which parts matched with the original prompt and which parts didn't. I found the parts that didn't. I confirmed, okay, yes, that is what we need to do. And that requires you to read the prompt word by word, understand the prompt word by word, and understand the changes. We got to the end, and then I leveraged the Retell MCP again to modify that agent with this new prompt. Could have I copy pasted it in and then kind of cleaned it up? Yeah, I could have. But what I want to show you is where the mixing of getting better at skills, which requires you to read these prompts word by word, meets the Claude having that speed through Claude, and now through the Retell MCP as well. So what I would recommend for you is, if you haven't checked out the prompting masterclass, definitely go check it out. If you haven't checked out the Retell MCP setup video, definitely go check that out. It's gonna be your new superpower. But what I tell all of our engineers is, if you rely on speed, you're gonna end up with low quality. Rely on quality and then speed that up based on you training your skills, you on understanding the client, understanding the use case, and fully understanding your prompt. So now it's your turn. Go pull up your last 10 calls for a specific agent that you've been working on. Maybe you had trouble with it. Maybe it's already in production. And if it is in production, you're gonna get a lot of insights from those real calls. Because how you interact with your agent is very, very different than the real world users are gonna interact with your agent. And I assure you that you're gonna learn something from those 10 calls. That used to take maybe an hour to do, and now it can take minutes. as long as you understand why you're doing what you're doing and exactly what your prompt does. Once Claude gives you that analysis, pause, evaluate, bring your human judgment, and you'll see how that partnership makes your iteration so much faster. Now, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, if you could write like, what's your biggest challenge when refining these voice agents? And who knows, maybe I end up making a video digging into that pain point, but I definitely answer every comment below. And a favor that you could do to me is liking and subscribing so this beautiful information can get to other people as well. If you want to dig deeper, we have a school community where people are learning every single day and selling every single day. Voice AI is a lot more than just prompting. There's a lot more to learn, and the community is where we teach it. Maybe you don't have the time and you want to come work with me directly, you can book a private consultation below. Excited to meet you in person and learn more about you. For now, remember to never stop prompting.